會見到佢㗎啦。
我唔多講啦，睇一睇今日嘅經文。
So let's go into our scripture.
耶利米書第10章第18節。
Jeremiah chapter 10.
因為耶和華主說：這時候我必將此地的居民，好像用機緣甩出去，又必加害在他們身上，使他們覺悟。民說：禍哉我受傷，我的傷痕極其重大。我卻說：這真是我的痛苦，必須忍受。我的帳棚毀壞，我的繩索折斷，我的兒女離開我去，沒有了，無人再支搭我的帳棚，挖起我的幔子。
So that they may be captured. Woe to me because of my injury. My wound is incurable. Yet I said to myself, this is my sickness, and I must endure it. My tent is destroyed. All its ropes are snapped. My children are gone from me and are no more. No one's left now to pitch my tent or to set up my shelter.
因為牧人都成了畜類，沒有求告耶和華，所以不得順利。他們的羊群也都分散。有風聲，看哪，敵人來了；有大擾攘從北方出來，要使猶大城邑變成荒涼，成為野狗的住處。耶和華啊，我曉得人的道路不由自己，行路的人也不能定自己的腳步。
The shepherds are senseless and do not inquire of the Lord, so they do not prosper, and all their flock is scattered. Listen, the report is coming, a great commotion from the land of the north. I will make the towns of Judah desolate, a haunt of jackals. Lord, I know that people's lives are not their own. It is not for them to direct their steps.
最重要就係23節裏面所講嘅，佢話神啊，我曉得人嘅道路不由自己，行路人也不能定自己嘅腳步。
I want to point out that verse 23 said, Lord, I know that people's lives are not their own. It is not for them to direct their steps.
所以今日唔係解釋呢段呢一章嘅經文。
Today I'm not explaining to you this chapter of the Bible.
只不過係呢個耶利米響一個咁大嘅亂世嘅當中，係神揀選嘅侍奉。
And Jeremiah was chosen by God in this turbulent time to serve him.
佢見到一切嘅都係唔順利嘅。
Everything's not going according to smoothly.
我相信係人都會問神嘅問題：點解揀選我喺呢個咁嘅時間嚟到去亂世當中嚟服侍你咧
I believe most people would ask God, why have you chosen me to serve you at this time?
然後耶利米揾到個答案就係佢話：神啊，我曉得人嘅道路唔係由自己定嘅，乃係由你嚟到定我嘅腳步嘅。
And then Jeremiah realized that people's lives are not their own, and that they are the steps directed by God.
今日我哋都要學習同樣呢個功課，就係我哋每一個人嘅道路唔係由我哋自己去決定嘅。
Today we need to also learn to lesson that our path, our steps are not our own.
我哋所遭遇一切嘢唔係我哋自己操縱嘅。
And all things that we experience, nothing that we can control.
亦都唔能夠由我哋任何嘅力量可以嚟到去防止任何嘅發生。
And then through our strength, even through our strength, there's nothing that we can do to prevent something from happening.
我哋做神嘅兒女需要學習同埋明白呢咁嘅功課。
As children of God, we need to learn and understand this lesson.
所以今日嘅題目叫做多姿多彩嘅人生，係當我哋將我哋嘅空間係俾咗神。
So that life is more terrific when we leave God room to lead.
OK， 我哋祈禱，感謝主，你俾我哋咁嘅機會嚟到服侍你。
Let's pray that Lord, we thank you that you have given us this opportunity to serve you.
多謝你俾我哋呢咁嘅時間。
And thank you that you have given us this time.
我哋冇將呢時間擺喺任何嘅事上高。
That we are not taking this time to use it for something
係
else.
願意尊重你。
But we're rather use it to respect you.
雖然有好多都唔能夠嚟到聖殿裏邊去敬拜。
Even though many cannot come to your temple to worship you.
但係佢冇選擇去做第二啲嘅事情。
But now they have they chosen to do other things.
我請求主你嚟到去真係賞賜俾每一個人。
I will ask you to reward everyone.
佢哋因為敬拜你嘅緣故，得到精神、心靈、信心，得到鼓舞。
And as they worship you, that they are being encouraged emotionally, spiritually.
喺佢嘅生命裏邊，能夠見得到你嘅話語響當中產生嘅功效。
And we see the effect of your word in our lives.
我哋咁樣禱告，
We pray this
係奉主耶穌基督名求，
in the name of Jesus Christ.
阿門。
Amen.
上個禮拜我講到關於我哋嘅擔心，我哋嘅恐懼，
And last week we talked about our worries, our fears.
所以我今日咧或者再繼續講多少少關於呢個恐懼同埋擔心嘅問題，
And today I want to talk a little bit more about our worries and our fears.
因為會影響我哋嘅侍奉，影響我哋做人。
Because all these will affect how we live and how we serve God.
但係如果我知道點樣對付我哋呢個擔心同埋呢一個恐懼嘅時候，可以釋放我哋去做神願意我哋做嘅人。
But when we learn how to deal with these worries and fears, then it will free us to serve God and to live our lives.
當人擔心同恐懼嘅時候，有大約3種唔同嘅反應。
When you're worried and you're fearful, then you have basically three type of
我
reaction.
今日着重係講第3樣嘅，不過第一、第二我哋要講一講。
And I'll emphasize on the third one, but I'll also mention a little bit about in brief about first two.
第一類嘅人，
First type,
當佢有驚慌恐懼嘅時候咧，突然間咧係會慌到可以失咗呢個控制。
and they are incapacitated by their fears.
英文叫做 panic attack， 就係咧佢驚到咧有驚恐發作叫做。
And they would have a panic attack when they face with fear.
你有冇驚過？有陣時咧驚嘅時候咧，心啪啪啪啪咁跳都好緊要噶。
And when you are fearful that your heart pounds in your chest.
我上禮拜講到有啲人驚到呢個疫情嘅時候唞唔過氣過嚟。
And last week we mentioned that people were suffocated by the fear of this
仲有唔
pandemic.
單止心跳啊，仲有咧有陣時手腳都震動嘅，
Not only their heart pounds, even their limbs, they're shaking.
出冷汗啦、心痛啦、胸痛啦。
They have chest pain,
你以為你心臟病？
and you think you have a heart attack.
有另外一啲人咧係僵咗嘅，
And some people, they just froze.
控制唔到佢四肢嘅。
And they can no longer able to control their body.
所以有陣時有啲人咧腳都軟咗，要走唔甩嘅，要人哋拖翻出嚟嘅。
And some people were not unable to move.
如果你有恐懼嘅時候，有咁嘅情況咧，你係好危險嘅。
In that type of situation, in this type of fear, you are in danger.
不過我相信要在我哋教會當中咧，冇乜邊個人咧係到咁極端嘅地步。
But I believe in our church that not too many people are fearful to that extreme.
我相信你周圍身邊有人咧係幫到你多啲咁多。
And I believe that there are people around you will help you a little bit.
第二類
Second,
係剛剛相反嘅。
it's quite the opposite.
原來神喺我哋做我哋嘅時候，俾我哋一個功能咧，可以救我哋脫離險境嘅。
And when God made us, He gave us a capacity to save ourselves.
我以前應該解釋過就係咧，當我哋恐懼嘅時候咧，突然間咧，我哋有啲腎上腺咧係激素咧係激動我哋咧，係突然間孔武有力嘅。
And when we are in a type of danger, we have this increase in adrenaline to give us strength.
所以有啲人咧，當佢好恐懼嘅時間嘅做遭遇咁嘅事情嘅時候咧，佢突然間咧係好似另外一個人一樣。
So when a time faced with fear, they seem to change to another person.
甚至乎有啲咧成為當代嘅英雄。
And some of them even become a hero of their time.
好似呢個我諗係張飛嘛，開破長板橋一樣咧，哇！突然間咧喺最危急裏邊嘅時候咧，哇！成為一個超人一樣。
And then as the general term that the Chinese might know, that suddenly he became a superhuman when he tried to block the enemy on the
中國人
bridge.
呢個故事就講到呢個張飛咧救佢個皇帝嘅仔嘅時候咧，前邊咧有成隊嘅軍隊喺對面橋嗰邊，佢一喝一聲咧，嗰條橋啲冧咗。
And that the story goes like this: that he was in the process of saving the heir of his master or his king, and he was facing with the whole army across the bridge. And then he just shouted, and even the bridge crumbled.
如果你有恐懼嘅事情發生嘅時候，你唔驚好似佢咁咧，你可以救我哋啦。
And if you are, when you're faced with fear, and you're like this general, and then you can save everyone.
第三類嘅人，我今日要多講嘅。
The third type of people, reaction of person.
或者你哋諗唔到，因為好少人咁講嘅。
And a lot of people say this.
就係冇乜人講呢個講呢樣嘢，冇乜人講，唔係好多人講。
Not a lot of people say things about this.
就係有啲人咧，當有啲恐懼未發生之前，
is that when something haven't happened yet,
佢就積極咁樣控制，使到呢個恐懼嘅事情唔會臨到。
and they'll be proactive to do everything to prevent this thing that makes them fearful not to happen.
英文一個字講得晒，中文要講幾個字先講到，就係積極有控制，係阻止攔咗呢個咁嘅恐懼會發生過嚟。
And they're proactive to prevent this thing that is fearful from happening.
你有冇認識啲人咧？佢哋諗嘢諗得好周詳㗎。
Do you know some people and their thought process very detailed?
英文裏邊所講啊 ，they have everything figured out， 即係佢咧腦早已經想到任何對策咧，一切都安排部署好好嘅。
And they have figured out everything that they have planned everything, ordered everything to face every type of scenario that may happen.
呢啲人你唔好同佢捉棋啊，因為捉棋嘅時候咧，佢諗定下幾步啊，你未行，佢已經諗定咗你點行㗎啦。
And you don't play chess with these people because they are quite a few steps ahead of you.
佢哋因為懼怕有啲嘢發生，對懼怕失敗，所以由於咁嘅緣故咧，佢老早去計劃部署嚟到阻止呢啲失敗發生。
And they are fearful of something that might happen, a fear of failure. So they do everything they can to prevent this scenario from happening.
如果你心水清嘅時候，你知道我講緊我係其中一個咁嘅人。
If you understand, then you know that I'm one of those people.
我係恐怕啲意外嘅事情發生，所以我係老早要安排部署好。
And I'm worried that something unexpected might happen. So I plan ahead of time.
我哋一上網係做 Zoom 去聚會，
And today, nowadays, we had to go on Zoom for our meetings.
我哋間中有啲故障喺裏邊，
And from time to time, we have some technical
所以為
difficulties.
我要考慮點樣去防止呢個咁嘅故障。
And I have to think about how to prevent these difficulties from happening.
所以我應該有一個應急嘅計劃。
So I have my contingency plan.
其中咧呢個 Bell 呢個咁嘅呢一個互聯網嘅供應俾教會咧，係間中會中斷嘅。
And our internet provider, Bell, from time to time, the connection, we lose our connection.
點解大家見唔到咧？而家？
And why is that we don't experience it?
因為咧，我老早去安排連接上網之前咧，用幾個方法嚟到使到呢件事唔發生過嚟。
And that because I have a few I planned a few ways that we will not see this
而
disconnection.
家我哋電腦係第一係連接緊 WiFi，
And that we have connected through
你
Wi-Fi.
可以撳一下，撳個 mouse 然後跟住係連接呢個 Ethernet。Linda 你要撳啊，你要 click 個
And then
mouse。
we also hardwire the internet.
然後做唔得嘅時候咧，跟住嗰樣咧兩個都要 bell 噶嘛，所以咧我亦都用我手機咧嗰個 data 咧係連接喺呢個電腦嘅裏邊做個 hotspot 熱
And if
點。
everything fails, I will use my cell phone as the hotspot.
所以一樣嘢唔得，可以有第二樣嘢，第二樣唔得係第三樣嘢。
So if in case one of them failed, there's some backup to that. And if the backup failed, I have another backup for that.
如果你明白呢咁嘅操作嘅時候，你知道咧，有啲人恐懼有任何失敗嘅時候咧，佢會老早諗定不同嘅方法嚟到防止咁嘅發
If you
生。
understand that the people who are fearful of things from happening, they will have different plan to deal with any failure.
我哋喺本地可以有幾次係冇電幾日嘅，最長嗰咧係好多日，1998年冰災。
And as in Montreal, we experienced at the time where we lose our power for quite a long time, especially in 1998.
所以因為我恐怕呢啲事情會再喺緊要嘅時間發生，
During the ice storm, so I'm afraid that this will occur again.
所以我亦都係要部署一切嘅嘢，係防止我哋咧係被點講束手無策被擒咁樣被擒
So I want to
生擒
plan
會捉。
everything so that the time when the time comes, that we will not don't know what to do.
我屋企裏邊有3個壁爐，
In my home, I have 3 fireplaces.
呢啲係以前屋主裝落嘅，一個新嘅係我自己裝落去嘅，係兩個係燒柴，
And 2 is burns wood,
一個用天然氣，
and 1 using natural gas.
仲有如果呢啲失靈嘅時候，我有火水爐。
And if all these doesn't work, I also have the kerosene furnace.
如果再唔得冇電嘅時候點算咧？我有發電機，
And if they have lose power even longer, I even have a generator.
我亦都有呢個太陽電能嘅一個發電之一。
And I also have a solar power.
我仲想整一個咧，係用呢一個太陽嘅發電嘅一樣嘢，用汽水罐嚟整嘅。
And I also want to utilize the solar power.
中國人有一個名詞講呢咁嘅性格嘅人，呢叫未雨綢繆。
And in the Chinese, they have a phrase to describe these people who plan for a rainy day.
即係未落雨之前就諗定所有落雨嘅時候應該點樣做噶啦，可以防止自己咧係被束手就擒。
To plan before it rains so that the rain will not ruin anything.
因為我想家人同埋我哋都可以好安全咁樣安居喺個家庭嘅裏邊。
Because I wanted my family and myself to feel secure in a home.
點解我咁樣做咧
Why do I do that?
其實上個禮拜我講到呢個原因。
And last week I point out the reason why.
我上個禮拜提到咧，我18、19歲2年嘅時間咧係晚晚失眠。
I mentioned last week that during my late teens and when I'm 18, 19, that I have insomnia every night.
我大約係5點鐘先可以瞓到覺，到7點鐘先醒啦。
And I don't fall asleep until 5 in the morning, and I wake up at 7.
我往往如果喺巴士企喺度都要瞓着咗，因為太攰啦。
And oftentimes, when I'm on the bus, I'm staying there, I can fall asleep. I'm too tired.
我失眠嘅緣故就係因為我恐怕一啲我應付唔到聽日發生嘅嘢。
I have insomnia because I was afraid I will not be able to deal with things that I may face.
所以我喺床上高瞓嘅時候就眼光光咁樣就部署聽日嘢嘅要點樣發生。
And so when I'm laying on my bed, I'm in my mind, I'm planning what will happen tomorrow.
因為我嗰陣時候細個時候咧唔敢講嘢啊，所以咧講嘢嘅時候咧就驚啦，就口吃啊，口窒窒啦，所以咧由於咁嘅緣故咧，我就預早要彩排一下點樣去講。
And when I was young, I did not like talking very much. So at night, I have to plan and rehearse what I'm going to say the next day.
去防止我被自己尷尬咗。
So I will not be
唔
embarrassed.
想出醜。
I don't want to be shamed.
同埋我要做任何事情啊，我要諗下啲有不同嘅設想一下佢有乜嘢可能會發生不同嘅 scenario， 英文所講。
And I also, in my mind, I'll go through every different scenarios.
如果我諗唔通呢啲咁嘅嘢嘅時候，我就唔會瞓着覺噶啦。
Unless I'm able to plan for all these and deal with all these, I will not be able to fall asleep.
直至到我胸有成竹、充滿信心去面對聽日嘅時候咧，我就可以瞓覺啦。
Only time that I feel confident and I know that I could deal with everything, then I can fall asleep.
我相信我哋當中有啲同類嘅人響當中，唔係好多都有咁嘅人。
I believe we do have some people who have similar characteristics.
我個牙醫同我講，佢話你呢個人啊，佢啲猶太人嚟，佢話你係 pre-worry。佢話咧未有發生嘅時候，你就喺度驚到咧係唔知點算啦。My dentist.
And then some people say that pre-worry. I have worry about things that haven't happened yet.
點解我會咁樣做咧？
Why do I do that?
因為缺少呢個自信心。
Because I lack this self-confidence
去面對一個突如其來嘅挑戰。
to face with something that these unexpected challenges.
懼怕自己冇呢個急才，冇呢個唔能夠有一個善於應對。
And then I feel that I lacked the quick vision and how to respond to answer to people.
我寧願失眠都唔想失敗。
I rather to have insomnia than to be a failure.
所以呢個恐懼失敗呢個感覺咧，令到我積極咁部署所要擔心嘅事情，使佢唔會發生。
And so, because of this fear of failure, it made me vigorously to make sure that these things don't happen.
所以未雨綢繆嘅人啊，如果你係其中一個啊，你會明白我講嘅意思點啊？你未有嘢發生嘅時候，你已經諗定去點樣去阻止、防止呢啲事情發生啦。
And you're the people who are planning for the rainy day all the time. Then you know that what I mean. That you always try to take care of something that before things happen.
咁其實呢個唔係弱點嚟嘅喎。
But obviously, this might not be is not a weakness.
喺某種嘅情況之下係好嘅。
And under certain situation, it is a good thing.
如果你有咁嘅夥計啊，請到佢啊， 你唔使諗啲嘢，佢都幫你諗埋，佢幫你擔心埋嘅，幫你咧部署好，使到你嘅生意唔失敗，係好嘅。
And if you hire an employee who thinks like that and deal with things that might happen, and so that the business will not fail, so that's good for you.
如果你嘅老闆、你嘅配偶係一切幫你安排好晒，係保護你嘅，係好嘅。
And if your employer or your spouse plan everything to protect you, that is a good thing.
嗱，但係呢啲係從人嘅角度嚟睇。
But this is really from the perspective of
響
man.
人嘅事上高，呢啲都係好嘅，因為呢個人係勤力，係用心去做嘢。
According to men, these are good because people are diligent and they have put their heart into the thing.
呢個人係小心翼翼咧，係以防萬一。
And they are careful and just to be in case.
響人嘅角度睇嚟係好嘅。
In the perspective of man, this is good.
但
These
係
are
今日
good.
同大家講，響神嘅角度你睇嚟咧，唔係一定係好嘅事情。
But I want to tell you that according to God's perspective, these may not be good.
我上個禮拜已經解釋到啦，略略解釋到就係因為咁嘅緣故，我又病咗2年，病咗1年。
And I mentioned last week that for that reason I was sick for a whole year.
其實咁樣做人咧係好辛苦嘅，其實係。
And to live that way is very difficult.
我做咗47年咁嘅人啦。
I've been that type of person for 47 years.
花咗好多心血去部署自己所擔心將要發生或者可能發生嘅嘢。
I spent energy and time on things that plan for things that might happen.
我諗下有啲其他人係隨機應變嘅。
And I also see other people who play by ear.
佢哋懂得點樣去變化。
And they know how to adjust.
佢唔會擔心天多落嚟當被冚，落雨咪落雨咯，冇電咪冇電咯，使乜咁擔心啊？咁樣。
They don't worry if the sky falls, let the sky fall. If there's no power, let there be no power. What's the big deal?
佢哋生活無憂無慮。
Their life, they don't have any worries.
嗰
They
啲
worry
一
free.
切艱難佢度過咗啦。
And more difficulty, they have already passed it.
唔係因為我度過會好過佢嘅度過喎。
Not because I enjoy it better than him.
佢煮到嚟就食啦。
And whenever what is served to him, and he'll deal with it.
你話嗰啲人活得幾開心啊，幾自由啊。
And how free and how happy they are in their lives.
我今日要解釋呢一個45年當中嘅經驗，俾我知道係乜嘢嘢，亦都係希望嚟到幫助大家。
And I want to tell you from my 45-year experience, and also to help you.
因為呢一咁嘅方法啊，喺神嘅角度裏邊咧，係可以出問題。
With this type of attitude that in the kingdom of God, that we might run into trouble.
因為我哋所擔心、所擔心、所驚憂慮嘅後果，所以我哋做一切部署嘅嘢係唔係出於信心，係同神絕對冇關係嘅。
And all this worried and all this planning that we do are not really, the source is not really from our faith, and it's really have nothing to do with God.
首先我哋要明白一樣，就係咧根本我哋冇一個人能夠預知有咩發生。
First, we need to know none of us will know what will happen.
你唔知道聽日有咩會演變落去。
And you don't know what will happen tomorrow.
我哋有陣時預料所要發生嘅嘢，就偏偏唔發生。
Usually, when we expect something to happen, often it doesn't happen.
我哋唔想發生嘅嘢咧，就發生咗。
And those things that we don't want to happen, and then usually they happen.
所以我哋預早去諗定點樣去做嘅咧，通常都係唔會發生嘅嘢嚟嘅。
And a lot of times that we plan things that we plan for are things that don't happen.
我上個禮拜講到 Linda 以前講有聽解釋俾我聽話咧，你所憂慮嘅嘢啊，80%、90%都唔發生㗎。
And last week I mentioned that Linda told me that all the things that you think about, 90% of the time it won't happen.
你諗下啲你所計劃所有嘅嘢，部署晒所有嘢，咦，根本係白費心機㗎喎。
And after you plan all these things, you find out that it's really is a waste of time.
所以花咁多時間、咁多精力去防止一啲未必會發生嘅嘢，你話值唔值得咧？
Is it worth it to plan for to spend your energy and time to plan for things that don't happen?
我詳細解釋多啲啊！我詳細解釋多啲。
Let me explain a little bit more in detail.
你諗下啲 喺神眼中睇嚟，呢咁嘅人生哲學係唔係看重咧？
Does God value or think highly of this type of philosophy in life?
未講神點睇，我講一講。喺10幾年、20年之前咧，你睇電視個廣告見到有一個 Canadian Tire 嘅一個咁嘅廣告。
Before I explain the perspective of God, I'll just say something is that about 20-some years ago, there's an ad or commercial on TV from Canadian Tire.
每一次都係同一個演員出去做噶啦。
And every time you see the same character,
咁呢個告白通常係點咁開始嘅？就係咧講一啲咁嘅 scenario， 一啲咁嘅問題嘅場景。
And in the beginning, they set up a problem scenario.
咁佢問啊 ，got problem like 有困難啊？譬如舉例子，佢影好多蒲公英喺個地上高。
And say, so you have a problem, then they will show you that there's a full lawn of dandelions.
然後呢個咁嘅演員咧出嚟咧就整啲用佢啲推銷嘅產品咧係可以應付對付嗰啲咁嘅問題。
And the actor will bring out the product they're promoting to deal with the problem.
所以每一個告白都開始都係用同樣方法。你有咩問題咩？佢就有解決方法。你有咩問題佢有解決方法。樣樣問題佢都有解決方法嘅。
And the commercial just goes like this: that he'll come out and say, "You have this problem, then I have this product."
He has everything figured out. 佢樣嘢都老早諗到解決嘅方法嘅。
So he has figured out everything. So he can deal with all these problems.
幾年之後
，several years later，
呢個演員成為加拿大一啲電視觀眾最討厭嘅一個人。
And several years later, this actor becomes the most unpopular person.
因為佢係 have everything figured out， 但啲人就唔係咁嘅思想方法嘅。佢見到佢乜嘢都好似識得晒，老早知道晒。
And he have everything figured out that whatever problem you might have, that he have a way to help you.
我問一問大家，如果神點睇呢樣嘢咧
So let me ask you something. How does God feel this?
如果神睇見我哋咁樣做嘢方法，睇見神嘅兒女，佢點樣睇我哋啊？佢會唔會好似啲觀眾咁同樣係討厭我哋咧
And if they see that us being the children of God, we operate in this way, would he be like the TV audience that we become unpopular to him?
神會唔會咁講？你諗一諗啊！神會唔會話呢個人好醒目喎，未雨綢繆喎，好勤力喎，老早有計劃喎，所以我特別喜歡佢。
Would God say this that this person he plans a rainy day, he's very diligent, and I like that.
神會話：呢個人真係好啊！我希望個個人都好似佢咁樣啊，因為佢好容易養佢，佢係 maintenance free， 佢唔需要保養嘅。
And would God say to it, I wish that everybody is like this person because they are maintenance free.
佢樣樣都自己搞掂，唔需要麻煩我咧，幾好啊！我特別喜歡佢啊
！That he deal with everything himself, he doesn't have to bother me. I especially like him.
你係咪一啲咁嘅人咧？唔使麻煩神嘅，樣樣自己搞掂晒嘅，根本神唔需要插手干預你嘅生命嘅。
Are you this type of person that you don't rely upon God, you don't need to rely upon God, and you deal with everything yourself?
你會唔會覺得神好喜歡你，因為你解決晒你所有人生嘅問題咧？老早
Do you feel that God likes you more because you have to deal with every situation in your life
你嘅答案係
yourself?
點啊？你認為點樣？
What do you think?
神會唔會咁樣喜歡你咧？
Will God be pleased with you for this reason?
讓我詳細解釋。
Let me explain in that.
神嘅兒女係需要過一個學習過一個信心嘅生活。
As God's children, we need to learn to live in faith.
因為恐懼而積極去防止任何意外發生嘅，唔一定係好事。
And if we being proactive to deal with every situation that might happen might not be a good thing.
因為到頭嚟佢所做嘅嘢根本未必係神需要佢所做嘅。
Because at the end, everything that he did may not be something that God wanted him to do.
佢冇發生嘅，佢所驚嘅嘢，佢都做咗出嚟啦。
Everything that will not happen, but he's fearful that it might happen, that he planned for it.
佢所致力嘅就好似中國有一個成語講啊，杞人憂天啊。 嘅意思係咩咧？喺幾國有一個國家咧，嗰陣時候當時啲人就傳出嚟啦，個天會冧落嚟啊！
And there's an idiom in Chinese that these people in this nation heard the rumor that the sky is falling.
所以個個啲哇食嘢食唔安樂，幾時個天冧落嚟咧？
And people are worried that the sky actually might fall.
所以佢哋咧就真係驚到咧唔知點算啦。
And they were so fearful they don't know what to do.
杞人憂天嘅人咧，係因為恐懼驅使佢失咗理智，去做佢哋一啲無聊嘅事情。
And because of this type of fear and this worry that it make them do things that are useless.
係中國人亦都有一個成語叫無的放矢啊，都冇一個目標嘅，佢就喺度射箭啦。
And the Chinese, I saw that they were aiming for nothing.
你明唔明啊？都冇目標咗去射箭，你話你有冇神會唔會賞賜俾你咧？
If you are operating this way, do you think God will reward you?
你咁忙碌去做咁多嘢，去防止啲嘢唔會發生，但係嗰啲事根本唔會發生嘅。咁你有冇意思所做嘅嘢？
And you have spent all this time and energy to do things to prevent something from happening, something that will not happen.
我今日對緊自己講緊説話嚇，大家唔好
I'm
笑我
speaking。to myself today.
你考試嘅時候，你所答嘅問題同嗰個考試嘅問題係唔一樣嘅。
During exams, you give an answer to a question, but actually the answer is not for that question.
你所寫嘅答案根本同佢個問題完全冇關係嘅。
And whatever your answer you gave have no relation or have no correlation with the
你話你
with the
問
question.
非所答，你會唔會有分數咧？神會唔會欣賞你咧？
And if you answer it in your exam this way, do you think you have any mark, any points for that question?
嗱，大家唔好笑啊！其實聖經裏邊講有啲人都係同樣嘅人嚟嘅，信心偉人呢個人嘅性格啊。
And this is a human nature. In the Bible, there are people who are like that.
呢個雅各就係咁樣嘅一個人，
And Jacob is one of those.
好細心，
He's very detailed.
做嘢做到咧，真係點講啊？好精明咧，就好細緻，乜嘢都諗到嘅。
And he have think everything through, even to the very small details.
甚至乎佢同佢外父講啊，佢話當佢同佢外父做工嘅時候咧，冇一隻羊死過即係佢係好小心嚟到帶領佢嘅。
And he explained to his father-in-law that not one, and on his watch, not even one sheep died.
佢今次神叫佢翻迦南佢自己嘅祖居嗰度。
At this time, God asked him to go back to Canaan.
你所睇嘅所有嘅步驟咧，就係反映出佢點樣細心去安排，去防止意外發生。
And you see how he have arranged everything, each step that he took, that he is preventing from any unexpected things from happening.
好多人唔解釋到呢個經文，其實呢個經文有個重要原因就係佢翻屋企嘅時候咧，佢就恐懼佢哥哥會尋仇。
At the time when he's returning home, he was afraid that his brother would seek revenge on him.
因為佢呃咗佢哥哥嘅長子名分。
Because he deceived his brother and took away his birthright.
哥哥話要殺佢啊，所以佢就離家出走嘅。
And before his brother were trying to kill him, and that's why he had to leave his home.
今日神叫佢翻屋企裏邊面對佢嘅過去，面對佢嘅仇人。
And God at this time asked him to go back home to face his past, face his enemy.
我明白雅各係點諗嘅，因為我都係同樣嘅諗法。雅各搞盡腦汁，想盡方法點去應付呢個哥哥嚟到殺佢。
I understand Jacob very well that Jacob is planning everything to prevent his brother from killing him.
聖經裏邊用一章嘅經文嚟解釋佢點樣嚟安排部署好一切，佢去兵來將擋，水來土掩，兵來將擋。
And the Bible spent a whole chapter explaining how he had to prepare everything and to deal with every situation that might come up with his brother.
佢唔係整咁多個嗰啲暖爐啊、火燒爐啊之類，佢用另一個方法，佢將佢嘅家庭咧分開4隊。
And he divided his household into 4 groups.
然後咧就係每一隊咧都有禮物，好多嘅禮物。
And each group they have a lot of present prepared.
嗱，啲禮物唔簡單㗎，啲禮物唔係只係一盒咁嘅禮物送俾佢啊，佢係成群嘅牲畜啊，即係一個農場咁樣俾咗佢嘅，可以話。
And these gifts or these presents are not simple, just like something in a box, but it's a whole herd of animals.
你所睇嘅就係佢真係將佢財產一大部分一部分咧係俾咗佢哥哥嚟到去賠罪嘅。
And he was using the major part of his possession, his wealth, to his brother to appease with him.
就係未響家人之前咧，原來啲僕人亦都係有啲禮物喺前嘅，所以係分開，我相信有6隊咁多嘅。
And even before the family, they have his servants bring gifts to his brother. So that's about six groups.
佢係希望用呢啲禮物了解佢哥哥嘅怨憤，因為驚哥哥嚟殺佢。
And he wanted to use all these gifts to appease with his brother, his resentfulness.
佢諗下啲，如果第一隊哥哥唔接受，希望第2隊哥哥覺得你有誠意啲啊，慢慢1隊、2隊、3隊、4隊、第6隊之後，哥哥個火氣已經盡燒啦。
And he said, well, if the first group doesn't succeed, maybe the second group will be even better. So after all the 6 times, maybe he'll be able to cool down the temper of his brother.
所以佢諗咗好多計仔喺呢件事嘅裏邊嘅。
So you can see that in this matter, they have put a lot of thinking into it.
仲有啊，呢個計仔就係話咧，如果哥哥啲唔接受禮物嘅，一樣係照殺過嚟嘅。
And if his brother doesn't accept all these gifts and continue to chase after him.
其實呢啲前邊嗰啲所有人咧，係成為一個保障啦。
Well, actually, the people who go before him become his protection.
所以佢擺最愛嗰啲人咧喺最後一隊。
And that's why he put his most loved ones to be the last group.
叫佢哋唔會一齊死，有機會咧可以逃生嘅。
And so that they will not all die at the same time, that they have a chance to escape.
你話佢諗得幾周到啊？
You can see how perfect his plan was.
但係神唔係咁樣方法。
But this is not God's way.
神所做嘅好特別嘅，即係神有佢嘅幽默喺裏邊。
And God have His own humor, I guess.
你以為你部署得好好咩？
You think that you have planned everything so
根本呢
well,
啲都唔發生嘅，唔會。
but these things would not happen.
嗰晚個人去咗啦，佢仲未敢去。
On that night, everyone in front of him went to his brother, and he was still afraid.
大家都知道黑夜有一個人嚟到揾佢。
And you know, on that night, someone came to him in the dark.
我相信雅各話：有冇搞錯？點解咧？又冇聽到咩聲音，冇聲，又冇人走翻轉頭，點解今日佢個哥哥走到嚟咧？
And Jacob is probably wondering, I have no news from my servant yet. Where does this person come from?
突然間我諗啊，佢所恐懼嘅臨到啦。
And in his heart said that whatever he's fearful is upon him now.
等於啲人啊，懼怕人咧，踩着烏合就當蛇嘅人。
As like those people who stepped on a string and thought it was a snake.
當你捉老鼠，如果你驚老鼠啊，但係你要捉嘅時候咧，突然間有啲嘢喐嘅時候咧，你會跳下一下，因為你以為嗰個老鼠出咗嚟。
And when you, just like the people who are afraid of rats or mice, but they have to go catch them, and suddenly something moved and thought the mice come out.
當呢人出現嘅時候，雅各以為佢嘅保護網已經係俾佢哥哥瓦解咗啦。
And that when this person appeared before him, he thought that all his protection is gone.
而家殺到嚟，得佢一個剩低咗啫。
And he's the only one left now.
喺黑暗認唔到人嘅時候，佢就以為呢個係哥哥。
And in the dark, he thought that this person was his brother.
佢哋不分青紅皂白咁樣就同佢打啦。
And without discerning and knowing what's happening, and start to fight with this person.
拼命同佢摔交。
And give his utmost to wrestle with him.
最後呢個咁嘅哥哥咧，打唔過佢喎，就扭傷佢嘅腳，使到佢咧係扭傷咗之後就走啦。
And this person that he thought he was a brother was not able to defeat him, but he have hurt his thigh.
但係呢個唔係一個保證啊，佢走翻轉頭點算啊？第日。
But that's not a guarantee.
所以雅各就突然間請求一樣嘢，你唔好走住，可唔可以為我祝福啊？
And not a guarantee that he is saved. So at that time, he asked the person, "Don't go, please bless me."
因為如果哥哥肯祝福嘅時候咧，呢個係最佳保證啊，確保以後嘅安全嘅。
Because if his brother is willing to bless him, that means it is a guarantee that nothing will happen to him
但係
later.
原來呢個唔係哥哥嚟嘅，
But
係
actually, this
神
is
佢
not
自
his
己。
brother.
呢個唔係天使，聖經裏邊講耶和華嘅使者，但係你睇清楚，呢個為佢祝福係神佢自己向佢顯現嘅。
And you read the Bible to clear that this is actually God Himself, that God He's blessing him.
原來雅各咁辛苦諗嘅一切嘢，同埋咁樣去打同佢嚟到去摔角嘅，原來全部都係多餘嘅。
Then all the thing that Jacob did, all the thing, and how hard he wrestled with this person is everything is in vain.
因為佢有一個幻想嘅敵人，
Because this is only his imaginary enemy.
係冇發生過嘅。
I think that what he thought about never happened.
聖經裏面記載到，當佢見佢哥哥嘅時候，嗰啲咁嘅哥哥咧根本唔需要佢啲禮物。
And when the Bible tells us when he actually came to face with his brother, that actually his brother doesn't need all the gifts.
佢哥哥已經發達咗啦，
His brother was prosperous,
佢嘅世界好過佢，
and he lived better than him.
同埋佢哥哥見到佢點樣幾開心啊！弟弟你翻嚟啦，咁多年冇見你。
And the brother was very happy to see him. Just say, I haven't seen you for a long time.
嗰個長子嘅名分，佢已經係忘記得一乾二淨啦。
And that he had forgotten totally about his birthright.
佢殺氣完全係冇晒嘅，聖經裏邊講得好清楚㗎。
And the Bible clearly tells us that there's no any murderous spirit in his brother
你諗
Esau.
下啲雅各花咁多時間去部署咁多嘢，原來係一場虛驚，係自己製造啲咁嘅情景出嚟嘅。
And Jacob had to plan for everything, and it's actually just false alarm.
任佢所懼怕嘅冇發生過，
Everything that he feared of didn't happen.
連佢走去同嗰個人摔跤啊，根本都唔需要同佢摔跤嘅，佢嚟到係要祝福佢嘅。
Even when he wanted to wrestle with the person, he didn't have to wrestle with him, but the person came to give a blessing to him.
雅各係大錯特錯，
And Jacob was totally wrong.
因為佢嘅懼怕，甚至乎連神要嚟要帶俾佢嘅福氣，佢幾乎係喪失咗。
And because he was fearful, he even risked having missing the blessing from God.
佢嘅懼怕令到佢敵我不分，
And because of fear, he will not be able to discern who's his friend or enemy.
最後神要教訓佢一頓，
And at the end, God wanted to give him a lesson.
係扭傷佢哋嘅腳，等佢終身殘廢。
And that they have hurt his leg, that he have a limp all his life.
所以唔好以為我哋咁樣做咁小心去安排所有部署咁嘅嘢，一定係好事，神一定會喜歡。
And do not think that we have prepared and be proactive to all these things will be pleasing to God.
因為有陣時我哋因為懼怕、恐懼、失敗，所要部署一切嘢，未必係合神嘅心意，甚至乎係徒勞無功嘅。
And all the things that we do out of fear may not be pleasing to God, and actually it might be totally be in vain.
保羅喺哥林多前書第9章第26節裏面所講啊，所以我們奔跑，不要像無定向嘅；我們鬥拳，不要像打空氣嘅。
So Paul said in the 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 26, Therefore I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air.
因為你懼怕你所要做嘅一啲咁嘅嘢，
Because all the things that you do because of our fear.
而嗰啲80%、90%都唔發生嘅，
But the thing that you think that you fearful that might happen,
你就係打空拳，你就係打空拳啦。
then you're beating the air.
你係打空拳係無的放矢，
And that you missed, you beating the air.
亦都係冇做到神要你所做嘅嘢，神唔叫你做嘅，你就做咗啦。
You didn't do the thing God wanted you to do, but you did things that God didn't want you to do.
相反，我哋往往以為自己好忠心，
And contrary, we think that we are faithful.
諗住自己哇，我計劃真係好周詳，乜嘢都諗通咗啦。
And then we have thought of everything, the plan is perfect.
我係未雨綢繆嘅人，幾好啊！冇人好似我咁做。
And I plan for the rainy day and no one is like me.
我要控制一切嘅嘢。
I can control everything.
當我哋冇電嘅時候，
When there's no power,
我係唯一間屋企有電，幾好咧咁樣。
I'm the only house to have power.
你明唔明白我今日所解釋嘅？我哋以為我哋自己做得係好好，
Yeah, I don't know if you understand that. We thought that we did well.
我哋以為自己係用信心信靠神，
And we thought that we are relying upon God through
但
our
係我
faith.
哋一舉一動係證明我哋係靠自己，係靠自己直覺去判斷事情。
But to all the things that we do, prove that we rely upon ourselves, our instincts.
係我哋太過諗得太多啦。
That we have think too much.
我哋希望操縱所有嘅嘢唔會走樣，
We want to control everything, then nothing will happen.
好叫我
Expect it to go
哋
wrong.
怕明日有咩發生。好叫我哋唔怕聽日有啲咩發生。
So that we will not be afraid what will happen tomorrow.
但係我哋所一切嘅籌備嘅計劃係徒勞無功，係打空拳。
But all the organization, all the plan are in vain.
基督徒如果積極為咗憂慮嚟到部署一切嘅，係表現到佢係缺少信靠神嘅心。
And if as Christians we proactively for planning for the thing that we are fearful of means that we lack faith.
神應許照顧我哋，但我哋冇去到我哋去擔心，我哋去信靠神。
God had promised that He would take care of, but yet we continue to worry.
冇去學習到去讓神帶領我哋。
We did not learn how to let God to lead us.
其實呢個係好可憐嘅，係都好可怕嘅。
It's very horrible and also pitiful as well.
喺神嘅眼中係極其討厭嘅事情，等於嗰個 Canadian Tire 嗰個咁嘅人一樣。
And it's very detestable to God.
呢個唔係一個信服神嘅表現。
This is not an expression of your trust in God.
講咗咁多呢啲咁嘅形容嘅，而家講個答案係點樣呢？
And let me give you the answer now.
正確去處理我哋嘅懼怕所恐懼嘅，應當點做呢？
How do we properly deal with our worry and our
我點
fear?
樣學習去信靠神呢？
And how do we learn to trust in God?
我分三細嘅細點啫，唔係好大嘅點。第一點，
There's 3 points, and the first point is
我
this.
哋要承認我哋唔知道聽日有咩發生。
We need to admit that we do not know what will happen tomorrow.
由於我哋唔知道嘅緣故，我哋就唔需要去預測聽日有咩發生，然後走去防備佢。
And because we don't know, then we don't need to anticipate what will happen and plan ahead.
有一首聖詩，我哋好多人好中意唱嘅就係我唔知道明日係如何。
And a song that we sing, a hymn that we sing said, "I don't know about tomorrow."
佢有好多未來嘅事情，我現在不能識透，但係我知誰掌管明天，我也知誰牽我手。
He said, "Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand."
我哋可唔可以我自己同自己講嘅，可唔可以同自己講話？既然明天你唔知道，你就要將呢個明天交喺神嘅手裏邊。
Can we say to ourselves, I'm saying this to myself, that since we don't know what happened tomorrow, can we put tomorrow in God's hands?
叫你可以依靠神，唔係靠你自己嘅力量咧。
So we could trust in God and not rely on our own strength.
讓神帶領你去經歷一啲你唔明白、你唔知道要點樣發生嘅事情咧。
To allow God to lead you to think unexpected things in your life.
信靠神俾你嘅能力去應付咧。第二點。
To trust in God, trust in God, the strength that God has given you to deal with the
或者講清楚
situation.
第二點係點咧？就係要信靠神咧，喺我哋恐懼嘅事臨到嘅時間咧，會俾我哋力量去應付。
And the second point is that to know that God will give you the strength to deal with the situation at that time.
就係呢個隨機應變嗰個樣嘢啦。
Is the ability to play it by ear.
喺呢10幾20年裏邊，我係學習緊呢個功課，就係點樣去學習隨機應變，唔好諗定聽日咩發生。
And for the last 20-some years, I'm learning how to play it by ear and not to be planning for what might happen.
所以呢10零20年咧，我係容易瞓到覺，因為我唔再擔心聽日啦嘛。
And for the last decade or two, it's easier for me to fall asleep because I don't need sleep, because I don't need to worry about tomorrow.
聽日有咩發生，我唔需要知道。
What will happen tomorrow, I don't need to know.
原來神老早應承俾我哋力量去勝過嘅。
Because God also already promised to give us the strength to go overcome it.
馬太福音10章第18至第20節裏邊所講到俾我哋知道。
In the book of Matthew chapter 10, verse 18 to 20 tells us.
呢個咁嘅道理係可以運用喺其他事情裏邊。
And this truth can be applied to any other thing.
佢話你俾人捉咗之後去見官啊，你唔好老早諗定，隔晚就諗定，瞓唔到覺咁去猛諗，聽日要點去回答個官府。
And as people capture you and then bring you to interface with the official, do not think about what will you say at that
佢話
time.
到時候就有説話俾你㗎，因為呢個唔係你所講啦，天父神嘅聖靈會響你裏邊俾呢個説話去
At
講
that
嘅。
time, God, a word will be given to you because you are not the one who is speaking, but the one speaking is God speaking through you.
有一次係慧兒同我傾偈，佢有一件好難嘅事情發生，嗰個好大嘅挑戰。我同佢講：你唔好預先諗定有乜嘢要講啲咩又唔需要嘅。
And really, at the time when she experienced something difficult, and I told her that you don't need to think about what you're going to say at that time.
因為神咧會俾你聰明，俾你有智慧，當時裏邊咧俾你有呢急才咧去應付咁樣嘅事情。
And God will, at that time, will give you the wisdom and the readiness to deal with it.
聖靈會俾你合適嘅説話，當時就係俾你講出嚟嘅。
And that God will give you the appropriate word to say at that time.
咁一段嘅時間，佢打電話俾我，佢話牧師呢件事發生咗啊！哇神，我覺得唔知點解咁有能力嘅講啲我以前諗都諗唔到嘅要講嘅。
And later on, that she called me back and said that this thing had happened. I don't know how, but at that time, I say things that I never thought about. I would
我以
say.
前都唔敢咁大膽去講嘢嘅。
And I was not bold enough to say these things before.
我同佢講，我話神嘅聖靈響你身上，佢做緊工作啊嘛。
That's because the Spirit of God is working in you at that
係
time.
神嘅聖靈俾你呢個膽量，俾呢個口才嚟去講嘅。
And the Spirit of God gives you the courage, gives you the eloquence to
弟
speak
兄
like
姊
that.
妹啊，我哋要信得過神喺我哋危難當中就加點我哋力量啊，都唔需要預早諗定嘅。
We need to believe in God that in our time of crisis, God will give us strength.
講個小故事俾大家知啊。
Let me
我
tell you a story.
30歲嘅時間之前啊，未到30歲，有神石有2次咁多，
And before I 30 years old, I have kidney stone
痛
twice.
得好緊要。
Very painful.
我諗住會痛死我噶啦。
I thought I would die from the
我
pain.
同太太講話，我話呢咁嘅痛啊，我根據佢所即係查考嘅，比生 BB 仲更加痛嘅。
And according to me at the time that even it's more painful than giving birth.
仲有其他所憂慮就咩咧？因為腎嘅功能唔得啦嘛，咁排唔到啲毒氣毒出嚟，會死嘅喎有一日。
And because the kidney doesn't function, so because of that, I will not be able to get rid of all the toxins, so I will die.
有一晚瞓唔着覺嘅時候，聽到個聲音講話：你唔過得30歲。我知係魔鬼同我講嘅。
And one time I was sleeping, and I heard a voice tell me, "You will not be able to live until you're 30."
對
I
啲
know that
恐
this is
懼
from the
人
devil.
咧，魔鬼會整啲咁嘢嚟嚇你㗎。
And for those who are fearful, the Satan will try to get to you through this way.
我嗰陣時候好驚，
So I was very afraid
唔
at
係
that
驚自
time.
己要死，
Not afraid that I would die,
我係驚住 Linda 同埋 Karen 啊、Timothy 啊，點樣照顧到佢哋啊？
but rather I worry for the Karen, Linda, and Timothy, how they would take care of
我死咗
themselves.
之後，佢哋好難過㗎喎。
And of course, it will be
唔
painful
係
for them.
傷心難過，嗱係冇咗爸爸冇咗老公，佢係幾辛苦啊！
It's painful for them that they will difficult for them to lose their husband, lose their father.
係一段唔容易日子啊，驚住自己會死咗之後，佢哋唔知點做。
It's a difficult time to think about how would they live after my death.
過咗一段日子，
After a while,
神向我解釋，幫我明白，
and God explained to me
好
how to
簡單嘅
understand.
道理嘅，真係好簡單嘅。
It's a very simple truth.
有一日神對我咁講話：聽日啊，如果你死咗啊，聽日太陽一樣會升上嚟嘅。
And God tell me that after you die, the next day the sun will rise.
你死咗之後，唔係世界末日，所有都完蛋嘅。
And after that, that means it's the end of the world.
你死咗之後，你嘅家人咧都會懂得自己照顧自己嘅。
And after your death, your family will learn to take care
因為
of
我
themselves.
賜俾每一個人有能力去自己照顧自己，
Because I have given everyone the ability to take care of themselves.
所以你唔需要擔心你死咗之後有咩事情會發生。
So you don't need to worry what will happen after your death.
可能佢哋照顧自己仲更加好過你自己照顧你
And
照顧
perhaps they
佢。
even take care of themselves better than you.
仲有一樣嘢，馬死落地行。
And another thing that life goes on.
當呢個馬死咗之後，佢哋落地就自己去行，佢哋自己會懂得去點樣嘅生活㗎啦。
And if you're riding on a horse, if the horse died, then you continue on walking.
再加上神會照顧佢哋。
And they will take care of themselves. And on top of that, moreover, God will take care of them.
當我明白咗，原來我唔係解決事情嘅答案嘅時候，
And after I understood that I'm not the answer to the problem,
我唔再為佢哋憂慮。
I no longer worry for them.
我知道神會為佢哋負責任，
I know that God will take the responsibility for
唔
them.
需要我走去憂慮、去部署、去安排。
I don't need to worry and need to plan.
我唔需要去部署一啲未必會發生嘅嘢。
I don't need to plan for things that might not happen.
嗰陣係30幾年之前啦，我冇死到，感謝主。
And that 30-some years ago, I'm still alive, thank the Lord.
我哋嘅勤力，我哋嘅擔憂，
our diligence, our worries,
係冇賞賜嘅。
it will not receive any reward for.
我哋因為擔心所部署一切啊，係冇賞賜嘅。
All the things that we plan out our anxiety or worry,
因為
we
我
will
哋
not
打空
receive any
拳啊，無的放矢啊。
rewards, and that we are just beating the air.
你打你個10拳都冇作用啊！打你嗰個對手，
You may punch the enemy 10 times, nothing happened.
打100拳都冇作用啊！唔係等於你贏咗，
And you may hit the person 100 times, yet doesn't mean that you win.
因為呢個係假設嘅敵人，根本個敵人係唔存在嘅。
Because it's only an imaginary enemy. They don't exist.
相反，你係踩着烏合當蛇，係有陣時連神嘅作為都分辨唔到。呢係第3點要講嘅。
And going to the
最後一
point
點啦，
we cannot discern what is the work of God.
呢個係最重要一點要講嘅。
That's the most important point here.
我哋嘅生活係需要留一啲空間俾神。
That in our life we need to leave God some room.
一個多姿多彩嘅人生係要充滿突如其來嘅驚喜。
Because a vibrant life will give us it's full of surprises.
我哋信得個神帶領我哋嘅時候，我哋亦都接受呢個意想不到嘅機會嘅好機會。
And when we trust in God to take care of us, that we also need to expect the unexpected surprises.
神往往俾我哋嘅轉機就係一啲響一啲時間嘅轉接嘅空間裏邊發生嘅。
A lot of time when God will give us a turning point where there's a space in between
一啲突
events,
如其來嘅轉機，
sudden
係我哋
turning,
冇想到嘅，我哋唔想發生嘅，但係發生咗啦。
that unexpected, we don't want to happen, that yet happened.
神係俾個新任務響個時間俾我哋。
And maybe at that time God give us a new mission.
所以你如果一切部署好，唔讓任何嘅突發事情發生嘅時候咧，你其實係阻止咗神俾呢個轉變嘅機會。
And if you have planned everything to not allow things to change, then you have blocked God from changing things.
明唔明白？呢個係我學習到嘅功課，多年裏邊可學習嘅。
And this is the lesson I learned in all these years.
我讀神學畢業嘅時候，根本係冇計劃嚟到滿地可。
And at the time when I graduated from seminary, I did not plan to come to Montreal.
雖然我之前嚟過呢間教會幾次幫手，響冬天嘅時候，
And even though that I came to the church a few times in the winter to help out.
一個週末嚟好平常，乜嘢都唔使即空手嚟得啦。
And come for a weekend, I come with empty hands.
但係畢業之後要搬嚟咧，係大件事情。
But after the graduation, I need to move here. That's a big deal.
我係打算係畢業之後去多倫多幫嗰個新成立嘅環教神召會咧，係因為佢成立嗰3年，我係有份幫佢哋開始嘅。
And I was planning to help out, to go to Toronto to help out the newly established Chinese Pentecostal
如果牧
church.
師唔需要我嘅話，我就去呢個 Halifax 或者 Hamilton 去開荒。
And if the pastor there doesn't need me, then I will go to Hamilton or Halifax to Pioneer Church.
當呢個區會嘅監督請我考慮嚟幫呢間教會3個月，
When the district presbyter came to tell me that, asked me if I could come to this church to help out for 3
唔
months.
係話叫我嚟做牧師，佢叫我嚟3個月，叫我做牧師，我更加唔會嚟添。
And not to become the senior pastor, if they ask me that, I will definitely not come.
因為我怕自己應付唔到，所以我唔會嚟嘅。
That I was afraid I would not be able to handle it, so I
但
would
係佢
not
同我
come.
講：你嚟3個月幫手，因為個新牧師就嚟啊，但係佢嚟唔切，所以有3個月冇牧師嘅時候咧，你去填補一下啦。
And they already have a new pastor who is coming, but it was delayed for 3 months. So can you come and help out for 3 months?
我心裏邊諗住拒絕佢嘅。
In my heart, I was ready to decline.
我唔想嘥我啲時間去有一咁嘅繞道行啊 detour。
I don't want to waste my time to do a detour.
加上我係一個遊牧民族，當時係
And on top of that, at that time I was a nomad.
咩有冇人做意思就咁啊！我所有身家性命財產都同我一齊去嘅，我搬到邊度我所以要帶嗰種，就冇乜其他嘢嘛。我又響呢個書局做咧，我又買咗好多，有成幾十箱、30幾箱嘅書嗰時候。
And everything that wherever I go, I carry everything with me. So I worked in a bookstore, so I have about 30-some boxes of books.
我要搬嚟嘅時候，我嗰架車係一個 full size car，一個 一個最大型嘅車啦，嗰時候係因為最平啊嘛。然後咧仲要租一個 U 河先至搬得到嚟嘅。
And at that time, I already have one car I have a full-size car, and also I had to have that full-size car packed, and also I had to rent a U-Haul to
你話
come.
3個月搬嚟，又要揾地方住，又要搬晒所有嚟，又3個月之後要搬晒走。
And I'm only coming for 3 months. I have to bring everything with me and find a place to rent, to live. And then after that, after 3 months, I have to leave again.
簽咗租約又要毀約，又要揾人再租。
And then after I signed the rental lease, I had to find someone to take over the
太
lease.
麻煩啦，我唔想嚟。
Too much trouble. I don't want to come.
我掙扎咗好耐，
I struggled for a long
最
time.
後我揾咗一個老師去同佢商量，
At last, I went to seek the help from
唔
a
係希望
advisor,
佢
a teacher.
唔係希望嗱，我唔應該點講？我係希望佢支持我嘅決定，就係叫我可以推咗唔嚟呢度。
And actually, I was seeking support from him to decline to refuse to come
所以我唔
here.
係想佢勸我嚟嘅，我唔係咁嘅意思嘅。
I was there to ask him to not to persuade me to come.
個老師問我，
But the teacher asked me,
佢話你喺多倫多啊、Halifax 啊、Hamilton 啊，有冇安排好？
and he asked me, have you planned everything out for Toronto, Hamilton, or Halifax?
我冇。
I said no.
佢話如果咁講啊，呢間教會有咁嘅需要啊，你第二個地方你未安排到，
He says, since that you haven't planned for anything, but this church have a need,
點解你咁樣一口就拒絕咧？
then why do you decline it?
我話我唔想3個月之後又要搬屋，太麻煩啦。
And William said, I don't want to move again after 3 months. It's too much trouble.
佢話唔係咁樣諗㗎。
He said, no, that's not the way
佢話
you
既
think.
然呢間教會咁嘅需要，
That's not the way you approach it.
而家
Since this
神
church
需要你去幫佢哋，
have a need and God wanted you to help them.
你亦都唔知道3個月之後有咩事情發生。
And you don't need to think about what will happen in 3 months.
佢話到時到啊下一步，神會為你安排。
And the next step God will prepare for you, arrange for you at that time.
你應該學習一樣嘢，見步行步，
You need to learn to take one step at a time.
因為神係逐步帶領你嘅。
And because God will lead you each step,
我哋唔能夠因為麻煩嘅緣故，就係抗拒神嘅安排。
we cannot, because we find it to be troublesome, to resist God.
最後突然間，我唔知點解，突然間心放開咗。OK， 如果咁講，我嚟就嚟啦。老師既然咁講，
At the time, suddenly, all of a sudden, my heart opens up and say, I don't know, I'll do whatever the teacher said.
一
I'll
嚟
do.
嚟咗41年啦。
And I've been here for 40 some years.
如果新牧師冇嚟到，
And that new pastor that was supposed to come didn't come.
感謝神啊！如果教會叫我嚟做牧師嘅時候，我估我就唔會嚟，因為嗰時候仲係咁細個。
And if the church asked me to come as a senior pastor, I would not come. I was so
但係叫
young.
我去替，咁就仲可以諗下啲。
But to be interim, I can think about it.
神知道一切，我哋嘅思想係點樣樣。
And God knows the way that we think.
神安排最合適、最妥當嘅。
And God's plan is the most appropriate, the most perfect.
我哋做神嘅兒女，應當學習每一步嚟到跟從神，唔好諗得太遠。
And as children of God, we need to learn to be led by God step by
唔好
step.
太執着自己嘅意見，執迷不悟啊！
And not to be so stubborn about our own ideas.
我哋所安排下一步唔能夠太過周詳，密到咧密不透風嘅，水泄不
And
通
that
啊。
when we plan for the next step, we cannot be planted so that is impenetrable and unchangeable.
如果你係好似我咁積極嘅話咧，係計劃所有嘅嘢嘅時候咧，連插針都插唔入個空間嘅時候，神冇辦法帶領我哋嘅。
And that if you plan be proactive in planning as I am, that not even a needle can go through this planning, then God cannot help you.
If you have everything figured out in advance already, you cannot really follow God。我哋咧，如果太過主觀嘅話，神我哋冇辦法可以咧係跟從神嘅。神帶領我哋嘅新嘅方向，
And to allow God to lead us in a new direction.
我哋要俾神一個空間，一個走盞嘅餘地。
We had to give God room and some leeway.
否則我哋錯過咗我哋機會，我哋都唔知道。
Otherwise, we will miss our opportunity, unknowingly miss our
主耶
opportunity.
穌應承我哋係一個豐盛嘅生命，
And Jesus Christ promises us an abundant life.
唔係一個黑板式嘅生命，一成不變。
It's not a a boring life that nothing changes.
唔係因為我哋嘅恐懼令到我哋失眠，令我哋緊張，覺得自己失咗控制，覺得冇安全感。
And that not because we worry that we don't have the security and things like that.
弟兄姊妹，如果你係同我一樣咁嘅人嘅時候，你需要放鬆一下。
And if you are people like me, then you need to learn to relax.
原來神帶領你嘅時候係滿有意外、意想不到嘅事情會發生嘅。
That when God is leading you, your life is full of surprises.
我哋鬆開我哋嘅手啊！
And we have to let go.
我哋唔好錯過神俾我哋新嘅機會，雖然個挑戰好似我哋好陌生嘅。
And not to miss the opportunity that God has given us, even though that seems very unfamiliar to us.
假如你做工，經濟唔好。
And that we have to work in this when the economy is not good.
你對嗰份工冇安全感。
And that you don't have security in your job.
所以你拼命抓住呢份工，怕一日會失業。
So that you do your utmost try to hold on to this job, so this work, so you will not
我希
be
望你停止
unemployed.
咁樣做。我希望你停止咁做。
I want to suggest you to do this.
我希望你知道，無論有乜嘢發生，
I want you to know whatever might happen,
神都係帶領緊你。
God is still leading you.
失業唔係一件唔好，唔一定係一件唔好嘅事情。
To be unemployed, not necessarily losing your job, may not be a bad thing.
可能神有一份工作係要等到你失業嘅時候先可以為你安排嘅。
And perhaps there's a job that God is arranging for you. You can only take it if
你
you
唔
are
失業
employed.
嘅時候，佢安排唔到，因為你太愛你份工啦，你已經係揸到太緊啦。
And if you don't lose your job because you love your job so much, you hold on so tight that God cannot give you a new job.
當你失業嘅時候，你唔好再留戀嗰份工作，要放開你嘅手啊！
And when you lose your job or become unemployed, do not continue to cling to it.
其實中國人講成語就話：山窮水盡疑無路，柳暗花明又一村。我哋要學習呢個功課。
And the Chinese, but so we say that there's always a silver lining in every cloud.
我哋唔好睇到前面好似前無去路嘅時候就懼怕，就唔以為神冇帶領我哋。
And do not think what we see at the end of the road, the thought that God is not leading us anymore.
我哋要放棄我哋嘅控制，放棄我哋嘅憂慮，
We have to give up our control, give up our worries,
留呢個空間俾神，
and allow this room for God to
俾
operate.
神一個新屬性，
And giving God this
讓神
flexibility.
帶領你成就佢嘅大事情。
Allow God to lead you to accomplish His great things.
我哋要歡迎轉機，歡迎失意，
We have to welcome change and welcome disappointment.
歡迎一啲我哋所恐懼要嚟到我哋嘅事情發生，
And welcome things that we're fearful that might happen.
使到我哋可以更加信靠神俾我哋嘅恩典。
So that we can trust on God and His grace even more.
神會帶領你
And God will lead us.
讓神俾我哋嘅驚喜啦，
Let us God give us surprises.
放鬆我哋一切嘅控制啦，
Relax all our control.
使我哋能夠活一個多姿多彩嘅生命。
So we can have a terrific and vibrant life.
最後兩句經文我就完咗啦。人嘅道路係為耶和華所定，人豈能明白自己嘅路呢？
Last, I want to relate to your scripture. Says, a person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way?
耶利米書第10章第23節，耶和華啊，我曉得人嘅道路不由自己，行路人也不能自己定自己嘅腳步。
Jeremiah 10, chapter 10, verse 23. Lord, I know that people's lives are not their own. It is not for them to direct their steps.